I would like to ask you about bridges. Senator Whitehouse mentioned that we still have a ways to go before our bridge infrastructure is where it needs to be for the future. In my state, obviously, we have a lot of rivers and mountains. We got a ton of bridges. And we need your partnership to make sure that we're going to have the ability to fix, and we are on the process right now of some major projects, fixing some of our bridges or maintaining them. What can you say about bridges in terms of what you've seen since you've been there on improving our nation's bridges, and what more would we need to do to address the issues with bridge safety and bridge maintenance?
Well, not far from where I grew up in Wisconsin, the I-35 or 35W, I believe it was, bridge in Minnesota collapsed. Bridge I've gone over many times, the Francis Scott Key Bridge that collapsed. We see that people lose their lives when our bridges aren't safe, and so I know it's a top priority for this committee and for the department as well. We'll make sure that the grants that have been awarded, we're expeditiously moving through those grants and making sure we have funding for that which was awarded. But beyond that, I think we have to take a look at the list of priorities, and the oldest and maybe most dangerous bridges have to be funded first, and those projects have to get underway.
Thank you. For the past couple of years, I voted for the IIJA, and I'm glad that I did, but I have raised concerns about the implementation in the IIJA's competitive grant programs and the time it takes, and we're going to see this as a repeating theme, I think, at the time that it takes to get that funding out the door. Can you please commit to a timely execution of project grant agreements? We know that there are numerous projects that are still been promised and are not through the pipeline yet. Promised by the previous administration, which is fine, but they still didn't move them through the pipeline. Can you talk about that and how you think that you can improve that process in your department?
Thank you for the question, Senator. Many of you have called me and said, "Where's my project? Where's the money? Can you speed this up?" And I'll be happy to talk to Senator Whitehouse about questions that are going to come from him. On did we slow, did we pause, did we stop? There are 3,200 announced projects at the department that don't have signed grant agreements. 3,200. We are going to work through those projects, but if you say, where's my project, I'm not looking at 10 projects for grant agreements. 3,200, some of them date back to 2022. So there's a lot of workload to do to get these projects complete, to get the grant agreements completed and the money out the door to your states. I would just note that, Senator, historically, there was 47 to 107 projects announced between Election Day and Inauguration Day. This last administration announced around 950 projects in that time frame, almost 1,000% increase. And so everybody wants their projects, and I'm going to do my best to get those projects out the door, but it is a historic number that was announced. And it's easy, to blow the kazoo and, send up the balloons when you announce a project. The hard work is actually doing the grant agreement. And I'm committed in a bipartisan effort to make sure we get those grant agreements signed and out the door, and especially as we come into the spring building season, that's a top priority for us. So, and by the way, the first project that we actually got through and done was Senator Whitehouse's, so he asked about bipartisanship. I am committed. Infrastructure is not partisan. We all use roads and bridges in blue and red states, and I'm committed to making sure we have a nonpartisan view as we move money.
I'm interested in the 3,200 projects that basically landed on your desk the day you got sworn in that were not completed. Could you just flesh out a little bit why they might not be? It might be that they're environmental review, their financing. Can you just kind of line out a little of those?
That's a good point. So some of them are the NEPA work had not been done yet. That's true. There's others that would expand capacity. And so if you're going to expand capacity from 2 lanes to 4 lanes, it's my understanding there was a set of ideas that they didn't want to expand the capacity. They would redo current capacity, but if it was an expanded capacity, those projects actually sat for a longer
So
period
they
of time.
sat at the back of the line.
Yeah, and so again, when the announcement goes, I'm going to work for all of you to get these projects out. But when I've got a lot of complaints, it is a lot of projects that we have to get done to make sure we can meet the commitments that were made in the last administration. And by the way, most of these projects are really good projects. I haven't found too many that I disagree with. It's good work for the most part.
Right. Senator Whitehouse.